Chapter 13, Political and Economic Institutions. This is video number 3. So now we're going to cover economic systems or the economy. So just as a reminder, the economy is what carries out the production and distribution of goods and services in a society. We are going to look at different types of global economic systems. So here in the United States, we're most familiar with capitalism. That is the type of economic system that is dominant in our society, but there are other options or different types, such as socialism, and then we're going to also focus on corporations. But also know that these things are ideal types as well. There is no perfect capitalistic society, and there has never been a perfect socialist society in our global history. So, okay. What is capitalism? Capitalism is founded on two assumptions: the sanctity of private property and the right of individuals to profit from their labor. They believe in free competition and little government interference. So capitalists believe that people have the right to profit from their labor. And the harder that you work, the more money that you will gain. And you're able to do that as much as possible. And they believe that you should have the right to own private property. That doesn't just mean land. It means any types of resources you should have ownership over goods and services. And they believe in keeping government out of business and out of our normal everyday life. Socialism is just the opposite. It's when property belongs to the society. So what happens is within a socialist society, the economy is carefully planned out and controlled by the government. It's a very government-heavy society because you have to have government in there planning everything out. People don't own things. People earn similar wages in socialism. It's not about, if you work harder, you'll get more money. Everybody has shared wealth, but in order to have that, you have to have more government rules and restrictions and guidance and surveillance to make sure that you keep things balanced and keep people from being greedy, basically. Remember, these are ideal types. So now let's learn a little bit about corporations. So corporations develop underneath a capitalistic society. So corporations are organizations that are owned by shareholders who have limited liability and limited control over organizational affairs. What rules corporations are board of directors and corporate managers. So what corporations are is businesses that are owned and people can put money into them to help promote a certain business or a certain goal. But they are not held liable if something happens. But as a result, corporations, people who put money into them, when there's a profit, they get a benefit out of that. Okay, but if something bad happens, those shareholders are not impacted and aren't held liable if something should happen. So that's where our system of the stock market and investing in corporations has come about. But the reason why corporations are problematic is because now in our society, there is a link between corporate leaders, the owners of these businesses, big shareholders, and government processes. A link has occurred between these. People who have a lot of money are now very influential in our government processes, which takes us taking us into talking about politics in America and how things are connected. So in our book, you will notice that there is a lot of information about politics in America. So much information, there's no way. I would probably have to film 5 videos in order to get it all in. This chapter could actually be divided. I think it should be divided into the politics and the economy. The reason why that they're put together is here in the United States, our politics and our economy, so the money side, the supply side, has been connected to our political institutions. And so that's why they're together, if they're married, if you will, here in the United States. So, because the public cannot govern directly, political elitism is inevitable. The elite group are those who represent us in government and they have much power. So, remember, we don't govern directly. This is not a democracy, it's a representative democracy. And because we have that, it has set the stage where those who have a lot of power, and usually with power comes money, and with that comes a lot of influence about how our government works and behaves. So, due to all of these factors, we are really limited in our voting. So, you might think, we're not limited in our voting, we have a lot of choice. Well, let's talk a little bit about how we are limited in the voting process, in the election process. This is something called political socialization, or how do you get to be able to vote, or how you make decisions about voting.